Welcome back to Crypto WonderWorld, where we decode the future of money and uncover the truth behind the crypto world's biggest moves. Today, we're diving deep into something massive, something game-changing. Hbar, the native token of the Hedera network, is on the verge of being fully unleashed. But what's really happening behind the scenes? What invisible forces are quietly lining up to make this the most pivotal moment in Hbar's history? Let's get real. The silence from Hedera isn't random. It's not a lack of news. It's a deliberate pause before the storm. A storm that's been building behind closed doors while the rest of the crypto market distracts itself with memes, rug pulls, and momentary narratives. Hedera's been busy crafting infrastructure. The kind of infrastructure that governments, Fortune 100s, and trillion-dollar industries can trust. The kind of infrastructure that doesn't crash under pressure. And that's exactly why what's coming isn't just another headline. It's a seismic shift. Hbar has been the quiet giant, waiting for the perfect alignment of timing, tech maturity, and institutional momentum. That moment is now. And it's all centered around a deal so significant, so transformational, that once it's revealed, it won't just make headlines. It will flip the entire digital asset landscape on its head. This hidden agreement, likely forged with input from the world's most powerful players in finance, tech, and governance, has the potential to ignite a chain reaction across enterprise blockchain adoption. This isn't guesswork. This is about connecting the dots from silence to strategy. Think about this. Most cryptos live and die by speculation. They're pumped by influencers, swayed by Twitter narratives, and gutted by whales. Hedera doesn't play that game. Hedera was designed differently, engineered for scale, architected with intent. Its governing council isn't made up of anonymous devs or meme cults. It's made up of global titans like Google, IBM, Boeing, Deutsche Telekom, and more. These aren't token farmers. These are the architects of the modern digital economy. And it's not just who is involved, it's how the technology works. Hedera isn't blockchain. It's Hashgraph. That's not just a technical difference. It's a generational leap. Finality in under 5 seconds. Sub-cent transaction fees. Throughput that embarrasses Ethereum, Solana, or even traditional finance rails. This isn't theory. This is already being used by real governments, real enterprises, and real institutions just quietly. Why so quiet? Because what they're building isn't just another app or DeFi toy. They're building the plumbing for the tokenized economy. For supply chains that can track goods across continents in real time. For central banks that want programmable money without the volatility of Bitcoin. For digital identity, ESG tracking, healthcare data, and so much more. So when we say Hbar is about to be unleashed, we're not just talking about price movement. We're talking about utility explosion, adoption ignition, the moment when the foundational infrastructure built in silence starts to power the systems of tomorrow loudly. This hidden deal we're talking about could be the trigger, could involve a central bank, could be a global supply chain overhaul, it could be a government-backed digital identity rollout. The specifics are still under wraps, but all indicators point to something massive. And unlike hype coins that move on speculation alone, when Hedera makes its move, it will be real. It will be tied to infrastructure. It will be undeniable. For years, critics have said Hbar was too quiet, that it lacked community hype. But here's the truth, they misunderstood the mission. This wasn't about joining the noise. This was about building something that lasts longer than market cycles. Something that survives regulatory waves. Something that scales across continents. Now, with the groundwork laid, the silence is ending. The quiet buildup is giving way to loud execution. And those who were watching closely, they're about to witness one of the most significant real-world crypto deployments of the decade. Hbar isn't just ready, it's poised. And very soon, the world will hear what silence was really building all along. Power players behind Hedera. Now let's pull back the curtain on what might be the most underappreciated secret weapon in crypto, the Hedera Governing Council. This isn't your average crypto boardroom. This isn't a bunch of influencers hyping charts or anonymous devs scrambling on Discord. This is a hand-picked alliance of the most powerful enterprises on the planet. We're talking about Google, IBM, Boeing, LG, Nomura, Deutsche Telekom Standard Bank. And that's just scratching the surface. These aren't partnerships on paper. These are companies that run the backbone of global industries, and they've chosen to embed themselves into the very core of Hedera's architecture. What makes this different is not just the names, but the roles these names play. These council members aren't throwing cash at a token and hoping for a moonshot. They are operating nodes. They are voting on protocol upgrades. They are guiding the governance of Hedera with full skin in the game. That's a level of responsibility and alignment you simply do not find anywhere else in the crypto space. Think about what that means. IBM doesn't experiment lightly. Google doesn't casually attach its name to tech infrastructure. These are companies that move in decades, not quarters. And when they commit, they're not just testing, they're integrating. They're building real-world applications. Hedera was designed to meet their needs. Compliance, speed, finality, governance. All of it tailored for a future where digital infrastructure needs to be fast, fair, and secure. The world is quietly being reshaped by tokenized everything. Real estate, carbon credits, identity, central bank digital currencies. These aren't dreams. These are pilot programs already being executed by council members. Boeing working on global logistics, LG developing ESG platforms, Standard Bank driving financial inclusion across Africa. All of this validated by Hedera, and the market hasn't even caught on. Here's where it gets even more powerful. Hedera's governance is decentralized but responsible. It's built to withstand regulation, not avoid it. Each council member has equal voting power. They serve limited terms. No single company controls the network. That balance between decentralization and structure is why governments are turning their attention to Hedera while ignoring Cowboy DeFi protocols. So, ask yourself, why are these mega companies committing resources, time, and trust to this network? Why is Hedera the platform they're willing to build the next internet on? Because they've seen the blueprint. They've reviewed the tech. They understand that Hedera is not just scalable, it's inevitable. They know this is the infrastructure that will power the tokenized economy. And the most telling sign? They're not just talking. They're shipping. They're deploying. They're laying the groundwork. While everyone's distracted by meme pumps and influencer-driven hype cycles, the real revolution is happening in silence, at boardroom tables, in enterprise labs, in government frameworks. And the foundation for it all? Hedera. So when we say HBAR is about to be unleashed, this is what we mean. It's not just about a hidden deal. It's about a global network of institutional giants that have already made their move. And soon, that move will echo across the entire crypto ecosystem like a thunderclap. Stay sharp, because this isn't just the future of HBAR. This is the future of digital infrastructure, and it's being built right in front of us, whether the market sees it yet or not. The emerging mega deal. Let's pull back the curtain on what may be the most important transformation unfolding in the world of digital finance. A transformation that's not being hyped on Twitter or shouted about by influencers. Why? Because the real power brokers don't need hype. They move in silence. And they're already making their move around Hedera. Right now, we're witnessing the emergence of a multi-layered, cross-sector deal. Not just one company, not just one partnership, but a sweeping integration of financial, governmental, legal, and environmental systems. And in every one of those conversations, every one of those proofs of concept, Hedera keeps showing up. Let's break it down. Major global banks like Standard Chartered, HSBC, and Shinhan Bank aren't just curious about tokenization. They're deploying pilots that use Hedera as the backbone. These are trillion-dollar institutions, building real systems that tokenize traditional assets, bonds, real estate, currencies, and run them through a public ledger that can scale globally. Why Hedera? Because Ethereum can't scale without congestion. Solana still struggles with uptime. But Hedera? It delivers finality in seconds, handles thousands of transactions per second, and does it with predictable, negligible fees. That's what enterprises demand. And then we look at law. DLA Piper, one of the largest legal firms on Earth, is using Hedera through its Toko platform to tokenize everything from fine art to real estate. Legal tokenization isn't about NFTs or JPEGs. It's about digitizing ownership rights, commercial agreements, and smart contracts that must remain legally enforceable. And what's the backbone they trust to do it? Hedera. It doesn't stop there. In the CBDC space, where trust, transparency, and compliance are non-negotiable, Hedera is being quietly tested behind the scenes. The Digital Dollar Project, yes, the same project that's exploring the future of a US CBDC, is researching how Hedera's unique architecture can support programmable money. Meanwhile, MTech, a fintech working with central banks across Africa and the Caribbean, is actively building Hedera-based pilots. These aren't memes. These are multi-year efforts designed to reshape global monetary infrastructure. So what's the deal? These are not isolated moves. These are converging into one massive, integrated financial future, and Hedera is rapidly becoming the standard infrastructure that supports it. Here's where it gets even bigger. BlackRock, the world's largest asset manager, is making waves about tokenized finance. They've stated it publicly. The future of markets is on-chain. That means traditional securities, bonds, commodities, everything living on digital rails. And BlackRock isn't alone. The World Economic Forum, BIS, and IMF are all pushing tokenization, interoperability, and ESG integration. These institutions aren't going to bet on unstable chains run by anonymous devs. They're going to bet on something enterprise-ready, compliant, secure, and governed. That's Hedera. Even the ESG world is watching. The Hbar Foundation and Dovu are working on carbon credit systems that are auditable, immutable, and fully transparent, perfect for the growing demand from corporations to prove their climate credentials. Imagine a world where carbon emissions, offsets, and sustainability pledges are tracked on an open ledger, and that ledger is Hedera. So yes, this is the deal. Not a single announcement, not a single press release, but a systemic migration toward Hedera across law, finance, government, and environmental infrastructure. And what fuels all of this? Hbar, the native utility token. It will be used for transaction fees, smart contract execution, staking, and value settlement. Every time a bank settles a tokenized bond, every time a lawyer notarizes a contract, every time a government issues a programmable currency, Hbar will be moving. The mega deal isn't coming. It's already unfolding. Silently, strategically, systematically. And when the pieces fully snap together, the world won't be asking if Hbar is the future. They'll be scrambling to catch up. The quiet accumulation. But that's just one side of it. Because while all this has been developing, the institutions haven't just been building. They've been accumulating. Quietly, silently. Wallets with millions of Hbar are being topped off. Transfers are happening over the counter, off exchange, out of the public eye. This isn't retail. This is deep-pocketed, long-term positioning for the world to come. And the metrics back it up. Look at the wallet sizes. Look at the node distributions. Look at the holding periods. It's clear that strategic players are stacking Hbar without drawing attention. Because when this thing activates at scale, the liquidity will shrink fast and the price could move violently upward. Not as a pump, but as a correction. A reevaluation of what this protocol actually represents. This is the calm before the explosion. The last chance for regular investors to position themselves before institutional utility kicks in full force. Because once Hedera becomes embedded in global finance, it won't be a story of 10x or 100x anymore. It'll be a story of infrastructure, of necessity, of non-negotiable integration into the future of money and data. And once that happens, the public narrative will change overnight. From interesting project to how did we not see this coming? That's why they're loading up now. Before the press releases. Before the onboarding of hundreds of real-world projects. Before the financial world turns its full attention to the protocol that's been quietly building in the background. Why is this happening now? Because for the first time, all the components are in place. The regulatory frameworks are forming. The enterprise demand is maturing. The tokenization narrative is going mainstream. Even the World Economic Forum and BlackRock are openly talking about tokenizing everything. And when they talk about tokenization, they're not referring to proof-of-work chains or high-fee platforms. They're looking for infrastructure that's ready to handle trillions of dollars. Infrastructure like Hedera. HBAR is about to be unleashed not just as a cryptocurrency, but as the connective tissue of the next financial system. The network is proven. The governance is trusted. The use cases are live. And the institutions are ready. The quiet phase is over. The build phase is complete. Now comes activation. And for those paying attention, this could be the moment HBAR steps into its destiny, not as a speculative token, but as a core component of a tokenized world. A world where every asset, every contract, every data point lives on-chain. A world where Hedera isn't an alternative. It's the default. If you're already holding HBAR, understand that what's coming next isn't a spike. It's a revaluation. If you're watching from the sidelines, the window to act is closing. Because when this hidden deal becomes visible to the world, it'll be too late to front-run it. This is your heads up. This is your warning. This is your opportunity. HBAR is about to be unleashed, and nothing will ever be the same again.